The Big Bang Theory. Cast, then and now, 2026. Unbelievable. For over a decade, these faces were part of our routine. We laughed with them, we grew up with them, and for a long time, it felt like they would never change. But here's the question no one really asks. What happens after the laughter fades? After the final scene wraps? And the world moves on? Because when the cameras stopped on The Big Bang Theory, the cast didn't follow the same script. Some chased a bigger spotlight, some walked away from it entirely, and a few made choices that shocked fans the most, not on screen, but in real life. And the biggest transformation of all didn't come from Sheldon, it came from Penny. And her story already breaks everything fans thought they knew. Kaley Cuoco as Penny. For many fans, Penny was expected to be the one who peaked early. The lovable girl next door, the sitcom star who might fade once the laughter stopped. But that expectation couldn't have been more wrong. Now in her early 40s, Kaley Cuoco quietly reshaped her career into something far bigger than Penny ever promised. Instead of chasing another sitcom, she leaned into darker, riskier roles, earning Emmy nominations for The Flight Attendant and building serious momentum as a producer. Off-screen, her life also took a grounded turn. She's now a mother to daughter Matilda, shares a low-key but stable relationship with actor Tom Pelphrey, and spends much of her time running a large animal rescue operation. The shock isn't her glow-up, it's that she didn't chase fame louder, she chose control instead. Jim Parsons as Sheldon Cooper. The assumption was simple: Sheldon Cooper would follow Jim Parsons forever. After all, the character was iconic, and audiences rarely let go of something that successful. But in his early 50s, Jim Parsons did exactly what fans didn't expect. He stepped away from the very thing that defined him. Rather than dominate television, Parsons shifted his focus to theater and producing, earning a prestigious Tony Award and carving out credibility far from sitcom punchlines. While some fans once blamed him for ending the show too soon, time has reframed that decision as intentional, not selfish. He lives quietly in New York with his husband, Todd Spiewak, far removed from Hollywood noise. The real transformation isn't the beard or the maturity, it's the confidence to leave the spotlight while still at the top. Johnny Galecki as Leonard Hofstadter. Leonard always felt like the emotional anchor of the group, so fans assumed his actor would stay just as visible. But today, in his early 50s, Johnny Galecki represents one of the most unexpected turns of all. Instead of stacking new roles, he gradually stepped away from acting almost entirely, choosing privacy over relevance. He now lives largely outside Hollywood, focusing on producing, real estate ventures, and raising his children. After welcoming a son with former partner Elena Meyer, Galecki quietly married Morgan Galecki and became a father again in 2024. No scandals, no headlines, just deliberate distance. For someone once surrounded by cameras, the shock isn't what he lost, it's what he willingly walked away from. Simon Helberg as Howard Wolowitz. Howard was always the loudest presence in the room, so fans assumed Simon Helberg would remain just as visible after the finale. Instead, his path quietly diverged. Now, in his mid-40s, Helberg stepped away from mainstream television, choosing selective indie films, music projects, and a far more private life. He has spoken openly about struggling with anxiety and mental health during the early seasons, a contrast few viewers ever noticed beneath the jokes. Married to actress Jocelyn Town for over 18 years, he's a devoted father of two and rarely appears on social media. While others chased relevance, Simon did something unexpected. He slowed down, and in a cast once driven by noise, his silence became the most surprising transformation of all. Kunal Nayyar as Raj Koothrappali. Raj was defined by insecurity, so expectations for Kunal Nayyar were modest, another sitcom star riding familiar territory, but his post-Big Bang journey went in the opposite direction. Now in his mid-40s, Nayyar has steadily built a serious international career, taking on darker roles in projects like Criminal UK and shifting between British television, theatre, and film. He's also become an author, expanding his voice beyond comedy. Off-screen, his life remains notably stable. Married to Neha Kapoor for over a decade, he keeps his personal world deliberately private. Compared to Howard's retreat and Bernadette's rise, Raj's transformation stands out for its ambition, not louder fame, but deeper range. Melissa Rauch as Bernadette Rostenkowski. Bernadette began as a side character, and many expected Melissa Rauch to fade once the show ended. Instead, she emerged as one of the cast's most powerful success stories. In her mid-40s, Rauch now leads and produces the Night Court revival, transitioning from performer to full-fledged television power player. Unlike some co-stars, she never left the spotlight, she reshaped it. Married for over 17 years to writer Winston Bagel, she balances a stable family life with 2 children and a demanding creative career. When placed beside Simon's retreat and Kunal's reinvention, Melissa's path feels almost rebellious. The surprise isn't that she stayed, it's that she took control. Mayim Bialik as Amy Farrah Fowler. Amy Farrah Fowler symbolized emotional growth on screen, but Mayim Bialik's real-life evolution proved even more complex. Now approaching 50, Bialik has stepped away from traditional sitcom success, focusing instead on podcasting, mental health advocacy, and science communication. Her exit from Jeopardy! As a host sparked debate and controversy, marking one of the few public friction points among the cast. Personally, she remains private but open about co-parenting her 2 sons and her relationship with writer Jonathan Cohen. Compared to Bernadette's rise and Raj's expansion, Mayim's journey feels less predictable. The shock isn't a career peak, it's the choice to redefine success on her own terms. Kevin Sussman as Stuart Bloom. Stuart Bloom was never meant to stand out, and that's exactly why his evolution surprises fans the most. Now in his mid-50s, Kevin Sussman has quietly stayed one of the most consistent working actors from the Big Bang Theory universe. After years of playing the unlucky comic book owner, he remained closely tied to the franchise, even becoming part of the short-lived spin-off Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. Off-screen, Sussman keeps his life almost completely private, rarely sharing details about relationships or family. Compared to the main cast's big career pivots, Stuart's path feels deceptively simple, and yet his continued presence proves one thing: sometimes staying exactly where fans remember you is its own kind of success. Wil Wheaton as Wil Wheaton. Wil Wheaton played himself and somehow turned that into one of the show's smartest meta-jokes. In his early 50s now, Wheaton's real-life journey has been anything but static. Long before the finale, he reinvented himself as a voice actor, author, and outspoken advocate for mental health. Married and openly reflective about past trauma, Wheaton has built a second career rooted in honesty rather than nostalgia. Unlike others who faded quietly, he leaned into fan culture, conventions, and community. The tease here is obvious. If The Big Bang Theory ever returns in any form, Wil Wheaton is already living proof that the universe doesn't end when the laugh track does. John Ross Bowie as Barry Kripke. Barry Kripke existed to disrupt every scene, and John Ross Bowie has done something similar with his career. Now, in his mid-50s, Bowie never chased sitcom stardom. Instead, he became a steady character actor, writer, and podcast host, thriving just outside the spotlight. Married with children, his life contrasts sharply with the chaos of Kripke's on-screen persona. There were no scandals, no dramatic exits, just consistency. And that's what makes his transformation quietly unbelievable. While others reinvented themselves, Bowie refined exactly who he already was. For fans paying attention, his success is a reminder. Not every victory needs a spotlight to count. Christine Baranski as Dr. Beverly Hofstadter. Dr. Beverly Hofstadter was remembered as the coldest mind in the room, sharp, distant, and impossible to ignore. Today, Christine Baranski stands apart as someone who never needed a reinvention to stay relevant. While much of the cast searched for new identities after the finale, she simply kept choosing the work, moving seamlessly between television, film, and theater on her own terms. And that contrast says everything about what The Big Bang Theory really became after it ended. So which transformation surprised you the most? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more stories where nostalgia meets real life.